We're going over. So United in Grief. So what did y'all think about United in Grief? The intro.
It's caught me by surprise. Didn't it start off with like tap dancing and stuff in the middle of it?
Yeah. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
it did. I'm pretty sure it
Right.
did.
yeah. I forgot how it went, but I just knew that I played it like three times over and over again because I really liked how it started out because I knew I was going to be on a journey. Um, I didn't do like I write down my notes and stuff, but I do know that I was not disappointed just by listening to just the first three tracks. I knew I was just blown away by.
Lord. Yeah.
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 Um,
Heather.
Um, for me,
Oh,
I just thought I really like how it starts off because he's talking about, I think he mentioned 1,855 days, right? Like no music, right? He's trying to he's humbled and really thinking about, okay, like shedding the ego off. We're talking about him digging deep and figuring out, okay, like these are the problems. We're united in grief because we use so many things, especially Black people. We use so many vices and materialistic things to cover up our grief because we don't really deal with our emotions. And then even if that's something that Black male rappers go through a lot, I feel like it was important for him to point that out. We are united in grief. Like we all are hurting. And instead of us like piling on all these different things to not really deal with it at the source, I felt like he was trying to say like, okay, let's stop and actually deal with this shit for real and not try to cope unhealthily. So I really like that about the song.
yeah. You are
mm-hmm.
absolutely right because it's ironic that the song is United in Grief, but I was just talking with one of the airmen at work, and he doesn't realize that he was dealing with like he was basically dealing with like judgment from the family of being there on like your undisputed stuff. Like how many times we've been judged by our family just for what we put on social media, even though we're grown as men. And like, yo, that's kind of judgment. Like you not allowed to be who you are outside of your house. So that's like I'm like that's a little slight form of grief, a little bit of trauma, but grief too. I'm like, yeah, we do united. I'm like, yeah, I dealt with the same thing. I'm like, that's not right.
Right, right. It's not
gotta kind of
exactly.
gotta kind of double back for a little bit.
Hmm.
Facts. Um, also, so from myself, like I'm looking at the lyrics, right? And it's like he's asking himself, like it's like reflection. One thing is when I heard that 1,855 days, I'm thinking like, okay, he hasn't made an album like since then, right? Two, when you look at like all the things that happened in there, right? Because he was working on another project, but then you know, or at least a song or something. He was gonna do something.
Hmm.
Then Nipsey died. Then you had like all these like tragedies happen, plus a pandemic. Like it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? And for him to say united in group, like we're all going through something. We all have felt this pain. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
understand. You know what I'm saying? Y'all's pain as well,
Hmm.
because I'm also
Right.
going through something. Um,
Yeah.
and then he mentions like on here like where was that at? Like popping about like is it in my head or my arrogance? Like what am I like he asked like oh, what was the question, like what's a rapper with a chain? Like he just really like just reflecting on like what does all this stuff really even mean? Like does it mean what we think it means, or is it just projecting something that we think we should have or something that we think is nice, you know?
Yeah.
That's
That's
my thought.
important to point out. Yeah. And that's why I was saying, like, like really trying to get to the heart of it all. Like, why do we keep doing, like Black men? And I'm so honored to be a part of this conversation with you guys because I really feel like I'm glad that I'm able to be in a space where I can hear what the Black men have to say. It's easy for, and not to like bash Black women, but it's easy for us to hear songs, like LMA's album dropped, and we got Lotto's album dropped this year. Like, okay, Sabrina Claudio dropped this year. Like, okay, it's easy for us to go into our emotions, right? It's easy for us to talk about those kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
but for rap and the hip hop culture, I do feel like the biggest struggle is that sometimes the ones that are hailed as best rappers, they don't always go deep inside in their emotions and stuff. And I honor Kendrick for talking about healing and growing and spiritual growth and things like that, because I feel like sometimes that's not the motto. Like sometimes I feel like rappers are really just trying to, like, okay, big shit popping. Like that's always that's always the central focus of music. You know, like, yeah, I got my chain, I got my whip, I got bitches, yeah. You know, like, okay, what else though? Like what have you learned from life? You know, like I don't know. So I just like that. I really like Kendrick providing this perspective, and I'm hoping this will be like a change that we see often in rap culture.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that because Kendrick, I think, isn't the first this year that like took their album and made it like a diary of his trauma or what he's been through. Because Saba released his album "A Few Good Things," and that's another really good album too that came out.
I have
Need to
not
hear
listened to
that.
it.
I haven't heard it yet.
You
Yeah, I
know,
haven't
and
heard it either.
listen, once he put a short movie to the album and it syncs up like why these songs are the way it is, it's a whole different experience. Like him and
Right.
Curry too dropped a new album too, and they're both talking about their trauma. They're
Yeah. Denzel Curry's was really good. People
like,
don't give him enough credit.
They
no,
don't. They never do. I'm like,
like,
I love Denzel Curry.
and Bad's been out for like a brick. Like he went from the song "I'm the Ultimate," and people just like, "Yo, he's really good." I'm like, duh, like you just not get to notice that.
Yeah, his
Right, we've been
album
trying to
cut.
tell your ass. Like,
Yeah, his
what?
album cut's always been nice. So I was like, okay, like outside of the stuff that get people in, like his album cuts go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.